Tell me again, Elena said, leaning back in her chair, that smirk curling on her lips, why you think that little idea of yours is going to change anything. I swallowed hard, trying not to let my voice shake. It's not little. I've been working on it for months. I know it can work. Elena laughed, the sound sharp and deliberate. Months? Oh please, you barely have any experience. Dreams don't pay bills, you know. I felt my stomach twist. I'm not asking for your approval. I just. Just what? She interrupted, tilting her head like she actually wanted to hear me lie to myself. Just want to hear me tell you it's hopeless? Because I already know it is. I glanced at Sam, sitting quietly across the table, staring at his drink. I knew he wanted to say something, to defend me, but he didn't. He never did when Elena decided to humiliate me. She's right, you know, Sam finally mumbled. It might be, a little unrealistic. I slammed my fist lightly on the table. Unrealistic? You don't even try, Sam. You're supposed to support me, not parrot her insults. Elena leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. See? Even your so-called friends think it's ridiculous. I don't understand why you waste your time dreaming when you could be living in the real world. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. My voice barely rose above a whisper. I just want a chance to prove myself. Elena laughed again, louder this time. A chance? You think people will give you a chance? Don't make me laugh. You're too naive, too soft. You talk about passion, but all I see is desperation. I clenched my jaw, feeling my hands tremble. Desperation isn't weakness. I'm willing to work, to sacrifice, to do whatever it takes to make this happen. Her smirk didn't falter. Sacrifice? Sweetheart, you'll only end up broken and humiliated. Look at yourself, you're not ready, and deep down, you know it. Sam shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should just let him speak. Let him explain. Elena's eyes flicked to Sam, disdain clear. Oh, I would like to hear him explain. Please, go ahead. Tell us how your little fantasy is going to change the world. I drew in a shaky breath. It doesn't have to change the world. I just want to change my world. I want to make something meaningful, even if it's just for me. Elena leaned back, eyes narrowing. Meaningful? You think money, success, or a so-called business will give you meaning? You'll fail. And when you do, don't come crying to me. Her words hit harder than I expected. I wanted to argue, to make her see that I wasn't a joke, but the anger tangled with shame, and I felt paralyzed. Maybe she's right, I muttered, more to myself than anyone else. Maybe I am naive. Elena's laugh was cold. Finally, some honesty. You're pathetic, and you don't even realize it. I couldn't look at her anymore. I pushed my chair back. Where are you going? She called, her voice dripping with amusement. Somewhere, far from here, I said, voice tight. I walked out before she could say anything else. Outside, the night air hit me like a punch. I pressed my hand to my chest, feeling my heart pound. Anger, humiliation, and grief churned inside me. I clenched my fists and whispered to myself, bitter but determined, I'll show her. One day, she'll regret every word. Have you eaten anything today? My mother asked, her voice soft, almost trembling. I had some toast, I muttered, staring at the floor. I didn't have the energy to lie convincingly. Her brow furrowed. You're losing weight. I worry about you. Maybe you should stop chasing this dream for a while. I flinched. Stop chasing my dream? Mom, it's all I have. How can I just give up? She sighed, glancing at my father. We just want you to be realistic, that's all. Life isn't like the movies, you know. I know what life is. I snapped, then immediately regretted it. I thought maybe if I tried hard enough, things could be different. You've tried hard, my father said quietly, but money doesn't grow on trees. You have to think about stability. I rubbed my temples. I'm not asking for stability. I'm asking for a chance to prove myself. My younger sister peeked from behind the doorway. Maybe he just needs someone to help him, she whispered to our mother. I caught her glance and forced a weak smile. I'm fine, really. I need to figure this out. But inside, panic clawed at me. The bank account was nearly empty. My small business idea, handcrafted accessories, had failed before it even started. The investor I'd trusted backed out, citing risk and lack of experience. I could hear Elena's mocking laughter in my head. Hey, a voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up to see Mr. Tarek, my old teacher from college. I hear things haven't been going smoothly. I hesitated. You heard about that? He smiled faintly. Word travels. But that doesn't matter. What matters is you. Are you going to let this destroy you, or are you going to find a way to fight back? I laughed bitterly. Fight back. Mr. Tarek, I don't even have the money to fight for my own business. How am I supposed to fight anyone else? He leaned forward. Money isn't the only weapon, and life isn't just about surviving. It's about strategy, patience, and knowing when to act. You have potential, but potential wasted is the same as nothing. I felt my stomach tighten. Potential wasted. That's what Elena said, isn't it? That I'd end up broken. Mr. Tarek's eyes softened. Let her say whatever she wants. You have something she'll never have, the fire to rise after falling. But you must be willing to work, to learn, and to think differently. I ran a hand through my hair. I don't even know where to start. Everything I tried just collapsed. I feel useless. You're not useless, he said firmly. You're just at the beginning of the climb. Everyone falls. The difference is who stands back up and how. I slumped into the chair, exhaustion and despair pressing down. I don't know if I can stand up again. Every time I try, it feels like the world is laughing at me. He shook his head. It's not the world laughing at you. It's a test. And tests are meant to be failed sometimes, so you can grow stronger. You have intelligence, creativity, and courage. That's a rare combination. Use it. I wish I believed that, I murmured. You will. But first, stop blaming yourself for things beyond your control. Stop letting ridicule and failure define you. Focus on what you can change. I stared at my hands, trembling slightly. What I can change. I guess that means starting over, huh? Exactly. Starting over doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means taking it as fuel. Every insult, every failure, they can push you forward if you let them. A silence fell, heavy but not empty. I felt a small spark, almost like a heartbeat in my chest, reminding me that maybe I wasn't entirely defeated. Thank you, Mr. Tarek, I said quietly. I'll try. I promise I'll try. You'll do more than try. I believe in you, he said. But remember, the world only respects results. Learn, adapt, and don't waste time waiting for others' approval. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I'll find a way. Somehow. As he left, I sank back into my chair, alone with my thoughts. Elena's laughter echoed faintly, but this time, it didn't feel like defeat. It felt like a challenge. And maybe, just maybe, I was ready to accept it. I stormed into the cafe where Elena was sitting, her head tilted as if she owned the place. Around her, a group of polished people laughed, champagne glasses clinking. I froze for a moment, staring at the smug expression on her face. "Elena," I said, my voice tight. She looked up slowly, as though she'd been expecting me. "Well, if it isn't the dreamer," she purred. "To what do I owe the unpleasant surprise?" I gritted my teeth. "You ruined everything. Do you know what you've done?" She leaned back, crossing her legs, eyes dancing with amusement. "Ruined? Oh, I think you overestimate your importance." "The investor?" He wasn't impressed. "I just guided him." "You manipulated him." "I trusted him, and you—" I stopped myself before screaming. My hands shook. "You sabotaged me." Elena laughed lightly, like it was a joke only she understood. "Sabotage? Sweetheart, I merely suggested a more realistic choice." He listened. "That's all." I slammed my palm on the table, making the glasses jump. "That's a lie. He believed in me because I worked my ass off. And you," I caught my breath. "You took it away." She shrugged elegantly. "Believe what you want. I call it survival. You should have been more persuasive." I clenched my fists, feeling rage burn hot in my chest. "Persuasive? You used lies and flattery. How can you live with yourself?" Her smirk never faltered. "Live with myself? Darling, I sleep just fine. And so should you, if you weren't so dramatic." I shook my head, disbelief overtaking my anger. "You're cruel. You enjoy this, don't you? Seeing me fail." "Not enjoy," she corrected, leaning forward, voice low and silky. "I just never underestimate people who dream too big. It's dangerous, and sometimes funny." I wanted to scream. "You were my friend." I swallowed hard, the betrayal cutting too deep. "I trusted you more than anyone, and you laughed behind my back." She paused, tilting her head, and for a second, I thought I might see regret. But it never came. "Trust is a choice, darling. You chose poorly." I took a shaky breath. "You'll pay for this. One day, you'll regret underestimating me." Elena chuckled, sipping her drink. "Regret? Maybe. But probably not. You're too weak to come back from this." I turned away, fury and humiliation colliding. I felt my chest tighten. "Weak?" I muttered under my breath. "We'll see about that." Outside, the cold air hit me, but it did nothing to cool the fire in my veins. I dialed Mr. Tariq's number immediately. "Mr. Tariq," I said, voice trembling, it's Elena. She ruined the investor meeting. She manipulated everything." There was silence on the other end. "Then, I see." "I can't believe it," I said, pacing. "I worked so hard, and she just," my words faltered. "She took what she could," he said quietly. "And what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know." I shouted. "I can't undo it. I can't fix it. I feel so powerless." He sighed, patient but firm. "Then don't focus on undoing it. Focus on what you can control. You can't change her, but you can change yourself. Build yourself, grow your influence, gain wealth. Let the world respect results, not excuses." I stopped pacing, absorbing his words. "Build myself. You mean, like, start over completely?" "Yes," he said. "This is your breaking point, and breaking points are opportunities. Every insult, every betrayal, store it as fuel. Let it push you, not paralyze you. When you return, you'll speak louder than words. And trust me, she'll hear you." I swallowed, feeling the anger mix with determination. "You think I can really come back? Strong enough to make her regret everything?" "I don't think." "I know," he said. But it will take time. Discipline. Patience. Focus. And most importantly, don't waste energy on immediate revenge. Build your empire quietly, strategically. I ran my hands through my hair. Quietly, strategically, the thought of waiting, planning, growing, burned as much as the betrayal did. But for the first time, I felt a spark of control. "Thank you, Mr. Tarek," I whispered. I'll start. I won't let her, or anyone, laugh at me again." "Good," he said. "Now, take a breath. And remember, the strongest revenge is living well. Everything else will follow." I hung up and leaned against the wall, eyes closing. Elena's laughter echoed in my mind, but it no longer felt like defeat. It was a challenge. And I was ready to accept it. I packed my bag in silence, my hands moving mechanically as if they had a mind of their own. I didn't say goodbye to anyone, not Elena, not my so-called friends, not even my family. "Where are you going?" my younger sister asked softly, peeking into the room. "Somewhere I can actually start over," I muttered, not looking at her. "You can't just leave," she whispered, almost pleading. "I have to," I said, finally meeting her eyes. "Staying here will only let her win. I need space, time." My mother appeared behind her. "You're running away from your problems. That's not how life works." "I'm not running," I said sharply. "I'm planning. And trust me, I'll come back stronger." They exchanged worried looks, but I didn't wait for another word. I walked out, my heart pounding, anger and determination blending into a strange fuel that pushed me forward. The bus station smelled of dust and diesel, and I clutched my bag tighter. Sitting alone, I whispered to myself, "No one will laugh at me again. Not her. Not anyone." In the new city, I took the first small job I could find, a cafe assistant. I stood behind the counter, hands busy, head quiet. "Hey, you're the new guy, right?" a voice called. I looked up to see Rashid, one of the senior assistants. "Don't worry. I'll show you the ropes. You'll be fine." "Thanks," I muttered. I've done some things before. But I can learn." "Good attitude," he said. "Most people here complain. You're different. Keep that." As days passed, I learned to manage the cafe, handle customers, and balance numbers. I stayed late every night, practicing, planning, and watching my savings grow by tiny increments. One evening, Rashid leaned against the counter. "You're working too hard." "Why?" I wiped my hands, staring at the floor. "Because I can't afford not to. Every mistake, every failure, it's a lesson. And it fuels me." He raised an eyebrow. "Fuel? Sounds like a grudge." "Maybe," I said quietly. "But it's more than that. I want control. I want to be strong enough that no one can touch me." Rashid smiled faintly. "Ambition is good. But don't let anger cloud your judgment. Smart people use fire, not burn themselves." I nodded, swallowing. "I'll remember that." Later, I found a mentor, Ms. Aisha, who ran a small investment firm. "You have potential," she said, reviewing my notes. "But raw talent isn't enough. Strategy, networking, and patience are everything. Are you willing to commit?" "I am," I said, eyes steady. "Whatever it takes." She studied me for a moment. "Good. I'll guide you, but don't waste time on instant gratification. Think long term." I left her office and walked the streets alone, the city lights blurring into streaks. "Long term, patience, strategy," I whispered. "I'll be unstoppable one day." I started investing small amounts, learning the markets, studying every trend, every nuance. Days blurred into nights, and exhaustion became normal. I rarely spoke to anyone outside work. Even loneliness felt like a tool, sharpening my focus. One evening, Rashid asked, "You ever sleep?" I smiled faintly. Sleep is for those who don't have a plan. I'll rest when I've built something worth remembering. He shook his head but didn't argue. At night, I'd sit in my small apartment, staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself. One day, she'll see. She'll see what I've built. She'll see me. And she'll wish she hadn't laughed. The city became my training ground. Every failure, every long shift, every small investment, it all added to something bigger. I was no longer the naive boy who believed in dreams without action. I was planning. I was learning. I was transforming. And when the time came, I would return, not as someone fragile and mocked, but as someone unstoppable. I stepped out of the sleek black car, adjusting my cufflinks as the valet opened the door. The gala buzzed with chatter and laughter, a sea of expensive suits and sparkling gowns. I let my eyes wander, scanning familiar faces from my past. "There he is, my business partner," Imran whispered, leaning close. "You look untouchable." "I have to," I murmured, scanning the crowd. "I've waited too long for this. I won't let anyone forget me, not Elena." He nodded. "The investors are here. The media. Everyone who matters. Ready to make a statement." I smiled faintly. "Always." Across the room, I saw Elena, draped in diamonds, laughing as her friends fawned over her. She looked exactly the same, flawless and arrogant. My chest tightened, a familiar mix of satisfaction and lingering anger rising. "She hasn't noticed us yet," Imran said quietly. "Patience. Let her realize who's standing across the room." I sipped my champagne, eyes locked on her. "Patience, yes. Let her feel it slowly." One of her friends leaned in, whispering something. Elena tilted her head, smirking. I clenched my fists, reminding myself to stay calm. This wasn't about confrontation, yet. It was about presence, power, influence. "Look at her," I muttered under my breath. "She thinks she's untouchable. She has no idea what I've built." Imran chuckled softly. "That's the beauty. She'll never see it coming." Later, at a quiet corner of the gala, I met Sarah and Hassan, two of my business allies. "Everything is set," Sarah said, glancing around. "Our investments, the media coverage, it's perfect." Hassan nodded. "Timing is everything. Elena's arrogance will be her downfall. She won't know what hit her." I leaned back, letting a small smile play on my lips. "And when the time comes, we move quietly. No drama. Let karma do the work." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You're enjoying this more than you admit." "I'm enjoying control," I corrected. "I've spent years learning, building, and planning. This is the payoff." Hassan laughed softly. "You've changed, my friend. Not just richer, sharper. More, untouchable." I shook my head slightly. "Not untouchable. Just patient. Strength without haste is far more dangerous." Imran returned, whispering urgently. "Elena's friends are moving. They're plotting an auction for that property you were interested in. She's acting exactly as we predicted." I smiled, feeling the familiar fire of anticipation. "Good. Let her think she's clever. Every move she makes now only confirms my plan." I watched Elena again, noticing how her friends clung to her words, laughing at everything she said. She had no idea I was observing, no idea that the boy she mocked years ago had become someone she couldn't even hope to touch. "Do you ever regret leaving her life behind?" Imran asked quietly. "Regret?" I scoffed softly. "No. Anger, satisfaction, yes. But regret? Never. I needed this distance to become what I am today." To reclaim control. Sarah nodded. And now, you're in her world without even needing her permission. That's power. Yes, I whispered, my eyes still on Elena. Power, and patience. Let her arrogance guide her, let her mistakes multiply. I'll stay in the shadows until the right moment. Then, my voice trailed, but the intent was clear. Hassan grinned. Then she'll realize that mocking you was the biggest mistake of her life. I chuckled softly, swirling my glass. Exactly. And the irony, she still doesn't see me. She doesn't even suspect the extent of what I've become. That's the sweetest part. Across the room, Elena laughed again, lifting her glass to a friend. I watched, heart steady, mind calculating. Every move, every gesture she made, was part of the map I had drawn. The world she thought she controlled was shifting under her feet, and I was the invisible hand guiding it. Imran leaned in. Ready for the next phase? I nodded, the corners of my mouth lifting into a small, satisfied smile. Always. Patience, observation, then action. Let her see the difference between who she mocked and who I am now. The rest will unfold naturally. I raised my glass slightly, toasting silently to my reflection in the crystal. This is only the beginning. And when she finally notices me, it will be too late. I spotted her across the crowded lounge, laughing with a circle of people who hung on her every word. Elena. She looked the same, flawless, arrogant, confident, but this time, I had the advantage. I straightened my jacket, adjusted my cuff, and walked toward her with calm steps. Each one measured, deliberate. My pulse was steady. No rage, no desperation, just controlled intent. Elena, I said, stopping just a few feet from her. My voice was smooth, calm, but carried an edge she couldn't ignore. Her laughter froze mid-air. She blinked, staring at me as if seeing a ghost. I didn't expect, you. I smiled faintly. I thought it was time to say hello. After all, it's been a long time. She glanced around, as if searching for an escape route. How, you look, different. Different? I echoed. I'd say successful, wouldn't you? Her lips pressed into a thin line. Well, success isn't everything. I raised an eyebrow. Isn't it? I gestured to the crowd of investors and media professionals subtly observing. Seems to me it opens a few more doors than arrogance alone. Her hand trembled slightly as she adjusted her clutch. I didn't think you'd. I cut her off with a soft chuckle. Think I'd return unprepared? I've spent years building, learning, observing. And now, my eyes swept across the room, taking in the silent witnesses. Now, the tables have turned. Elena's friends whispered among themselves, casting guilty glances. She frowned at me. I still remember, her voice faltered, and she hesitated, unsure how to continue. Remember what? I asked, tilting my head, letting the tension hang. She swallowed. Your old plans, that little business, the failure. I smiled, letting the memory linger in the air. Failure is only failure if you stop trying. I didn't stop. And apparently, neither did my results. Her hand knocked over a nearby glass of champagne. Liquid spilled across the table, drawing murmurs from onlookers. She froze, eyes wide. Oh, she gasped, attempting to cover it with a laugh. Clumsy me. You're nervous, I said softly, almost teasing. It shows. She flushed, glancing at her friends who were clearly uncomfortable now. I just didn't expect. You didn't expect me to succeed, I finished for her. But here I am. And you? I studied her carefully. Still relying on charm, influence, and manipulations. Her lips tightened, eyes darting away. Things change. Yes, they do, I said, letting a small smile play across my face. And sometimes, the change shows who's really in control. She laughed nervously, a sound forced and brittle. Control, it's all about timing, isn't it? I tilted my head. Timing helps, yes. But preparation, strategy, that's what decides outcomes. Not gossip, not manipulation. She swallowed hard. I didn't think you'd. I think you forgot my name for a second there, I said, voice calm but sharp. I'm not the same boy you mocked. Her hand flew to her chest, eyes widening. I didn't. I waved gently, cutting her off. Save your excuses. They won't change the facts. I've worked, I've built, I've waited. And now, I decide what comes next. Her friends looked embarrassed, shifting their weight. She cleared her throat, trying to regain composure. Well, it's impressive, I'll give you that. Thank you, I said, allowing a polite smile. It's taken time, effort, and yes, some patience. Something you never seem to value. She faltered, searching for a retort, but none came. For the first time, I saw uncertainty in her gaze. The confident woman who once mocked me now looked fragile, exposed. I took a step back, letting the scene settle. I'll be around, I said softly. But remember, power is silent, and influence is earned. You'll learn that soon enough. Her voice was barely audible. I nodded politely and turned, walking away with measured steps. Each stride echoed confidence, control, and a promise of the reckoning to come. Behind me, Elena's gaze followed, a mixture of disbelief, jealousy, and fear that she couldn't hide. For the first time, I felt the satisfaction of watching karma unfold slowly, deliberately. And I smiled to myself. I sipped my coffee quietly, scrolling through the latest financial reports. Elena's name appeared more than once, this time attached to losses, failed ventures, and whispered betrayals. She's really in trouble, Imran said, leaning over my shoulder. I didn't think it would happen this fast. I let a faint smile touch my lips. Fast? No. Karma moves on its own schedule. It's never early, never late. It just arrives. Sarah glanced at me, eyes curious. Do you ever feel empty, watching it happen without touching it? I paused, thinking. Empty. Sometimes. Satisfaction, yes. But not true satisfaction. Revenge is complicated. Seeing her stumble isn't the same as reclaiming my peace. Hassan nodded thoughtfully. So you're saying, the thrill isn't in retaliation, but in watching justice unfold naturally? Exactly, I said. I spent years planning, growing, building. She thought she could destroy me with a smile. Now, life is showing her the consequences of her arrogance, and I don't even need to intervene. Imran raised an eyebrow. And yet, you could, if you wanted. I shook my head. No. That's the point. Real power doesn't need to strike directly. It waits. It observes. It lets the world do its work while you remain untouchable, focused. Later, I met with a few of my new business contacts. The market is shifting, one said, flipping through her tablet. Elena's latest project is collapsing. Investors are backing out. I leaned back, hands clasped behind my head. And she can't blame anyone but herself. Poor choices, misplaced trust, it all adds up. She built her world on appearances, not strategy. Another ally, Farah, frowned. Do you ever think about reaching out? Offering a lifeline? I shook my head. No. That would be charity. She doesn't deserve charity. But a lesson, yes, she's learning that. Every mistake she makes is a teacher. I just watch. Farah tilted her head. Isn't that cruel? Not cruel, I corrected softly. Fair. The universe has its balance. I only witness it. That's enough. That night, I sat alone, reflecting on the years that had passed. My apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of the city outside. I thought about the boy I used to be, naive, desperate for approval, humiliated by Elena's laughter. She never saw me, I whispered to myself. Not really. She mocked the surface without realizing the fire underneath. The phone rang. It was Imran. Check the news. She's being sued by her own partner. Accusations of fraud, mismanagement, and she has no one to blame but herself. I leaned back, letting a deep breath out. It's beautiful, isn't it? The world balancing itself. Beautiful? Sarah's voice came over the speaker. I thought you said satisfaction was complicated. I chuckled. It is. I enjoy watching the consequences, yes. But joy? True peace? That comes from within. Karma is a whisper. It teaches, but it doesn't fill the empty spaces left by the past. Imran's laugh was soft. You've changed, you know. Not just stronger, wiser. Patient. I had to, I said. If I had reacted immediately, I'd still be that boy, caught in her shadow. Now. I observe, I learn, and I grow. I glanced at a photo on my desk, a younger me, hopeful and broken, clutching designs for my first failed business. Every insult, every betrayal, it led me here. To this vantage point. And she's still in the lesson phase. Do you ever regret not stepping in? Farah asked again. No, I said firmly. Intervention would ruin the lesson. She needs to stumble. She needs to feel the weight of her choices. And I need to see that my strength wasn't just for revenge. It's for survival, for clarity, for growth. I leaned back, letting the tension in my shoulders ease slightly. One day, she might reach out, desperate. And I'll have the choice to respond. Or not. Power is having that option without needing it. Imran's voice was quiet, admiring. And you will. She'll never know the full extent of what you've built, or why she can't touch it. Exactly, I whispered, eyes closing briefly. I'm not her executioner. I'm her observer. And the universe, it doesn't make mistakes. Outside, the city lights flickered, reflecting in my window. I sipped my drink slowly, mind calm, heart steady. The world was unfolding as it should. Elena's arrogance, her manipulations, her misplaced trust, they were all returning to her in subtle, perfect waves. And I was standing above it all, patient, silent, and ready for whatever came next. I spotted her at the entrance of my office, hesitation written all over her face. Elena. Dressed impeccably, but her usual confidence was missing, replaced by something almost fragile. Elena, I said, my voice calm, controlled. I didn't expect you here. She swallowed hard, glancing around as if the room itself judged her. I had to see you, she stammered. I need to explain. Explain. I repeated, arching an eyebrow. After all these years, you finally realized you owe an explanation. Her eyes glistened. I made mistakes. Mistakes. I laughed softly, shaking my head. Mistakes. You destroyed my dreams, Elena. Do you know how that feels? She flinched, pressing her hands together. I didn't know it would go that far. I thought I was helping. Helping? I leaned forward, my gaze sharp. You mocked me, sabotaged me, and laughed while I fell. That wasn't helping. That was cruelty. Pure cruelty. She looked down, voice trembling. I'm sorry. I never meant. I didn't realize. Didn't realize. I cut her off, voice rising slightly. You were perfectly aware. I trusted you. I shared everything with you. And what did you do? You turned it into a joke for your friends. Tears welled in her eyes. I was wrong. I was stupid. Please. I want to fix this. I shook my head slowly, keeping my composure. Fix this? Elena, you can't fix trust once it's shattered. You can't erase the humiliation, the nights I cried wondering if I was worthless, the years I spent rebuilding my life from nothing because of your games. Her lips quivered. I didn't realize how much it hurt you. I was selfish, You were more than selfish, I said, voice low but firm. You were cruel, arrogant, and blind to the consequences of your actions. And now, you're facing those consequences. She stepped closer, desperation creeping into her posture. Please. I can help you. We can go back to how things were. I'll make it up to you. No, I said firmly, cutting her off. No, Elena. This isn't about making it up. This is about realizing that your choices have consequences. And I won't let you manipulate me again. Her hands shook. But I still care about you. I miss us. I let out a bitter laugh. Care. Miss. You care about your image, your control. You never cared about me, not truly. You never saw me. You only saw a tool for your amusement. I didn't, she whispered. You didn't what? I pressed, voice rising slightly with the weight of years of betrayal. You didn't know what it felt like to be humiliated. To lose everything because someone you trusted turned on you. You didn't see how it crushed me. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't think it was that serious. I was blind. Blind, I repeated, letting the word hang in the air. And that blindness almost broke me. But I survived, Elena. I fought. I built myself up. And now. I am untouchable to you. She stepped back, shivering slightly. Please. I want a chance, just one chance. Chance? I asked, voice quiet but deadly. You want a chance after everything? You don't get chances anymore. You get the consequences of your actions. You face what you created with your own hands. Tears ran freely down her cheeks. I can change. I'll be better. I don't need you to be better, I said softly, almost pitying. I need you to understand that your choices hurt me, and that I will never allow myself to be vulnerable to you again. I won't forgive, not in the way you hope. I won't let you back into my life as you once were. Her shoulders slumped, and I could see the realization of true loss in her eyes. She had no control here. None. The girl who once mocked me now stood powerless before the life I had built. I understand, she whispered finally. I'm sorry. Yes, I said, voice steady, calm. You are. But sorry doesn't undo the past. Actions do. And your actions have brought you here, facing the consequences you ignored for so long. She nodded slowly, biting her lip. I will. I will try to be better. I turned, walking toward the door, every step deliberate. Then do that, Elena. Learn from it. Grow. But don't expect me to be part of it. I've moved on. I am free. And you, you have to live with what you've done. I opened the door, letting the sunlight spill into the office. She stood there, silent, broken, powerless. And for the first time in years, I felt complete, not from revenge, but from finally reclaiming myself. I stepped out into the light, leaving her behind, watching her face one last time. The girl who mocked my dreams now faced the reality she created. And I was done being her victim. I stood on the balcony of my office, the city lights stretching endlessly before me. The hum of life below felt distant, almost irrelevant. I sipped my drink, feeling the weight of years lift slowly from my shoulders. "Quiet tonight," Sarah said, joining me. "Thinking about the past?" "Always," I admitted. "But it doesn't sting anymore. The anger, the hurt, they're just memories now. Tools, if you will. Lessons." Sarah smiled softly. "You've grown so much. Stronger, calmer, untouchable." "Not untouchable," I said, shaking my head. "Just, free. Free from the chains of others' cruelty, free from my own doubts." Hassan leaned against the railing, arms crossed. "Funny. You look peaceful now, but we all remember the fire in your eyes back then. The rage, the determination. And you didn't let it consume you." "Determination," I murmured. "Anger was the spark, yes. But strategy, patience, that's what carried me forward. And here I am." Sarah glanced at me, curious. "Do you ever think about Elena?" I set my glass down carefully. "I do. Not out of longing or regret, but understanding. She played her part, made her choices. And I made mine. Karma worked quietly, as it always does." Hassan nodded. "And you stayed silent while it unfolded. That's impressive." I stayed silent, I agreed. Because intervention isn't always strength. Watching, learning, letting consequences happen naturally, that's the real power. And it taught me more than any revenge could. Later, I walked through the streets I once knew, the city that had been both my cage and my training ground. Each corner, each alley, held a memory, some bitter, some strangely comforting. I stopped in front of the small cafe where I had started from nothing. The owner waved at me, recognition flashing in his eyes. "You've come far," he said softly. "I always knew you would." "I had to," I replied quietly. I couldn't stay the person I was. Not after everything. Not after her. Inside, I found a dusty corner where I had sketched plans for my first business. I ran my fingers over the old notebook, feeling the weight of ambition, hope, and failure. "You've kept this?" I whispered to no one. "Funny, it feels heavier now, yet lighter. Proof that I survived." I walked to my childhood home next, holding a small letter in my hand. It was a note from my younger self, scribbled in naive hope: "One day, they'll see me. I'll be more than what they think." I smiled, feeling a strange warmth. I did it. I kept the promise to myself. And now, it's time to let go. Sarah called later that evening. "Are you ready to close the chapter?" "Yes," I said, voice steady. "I've visited the past, acknowledged the pain, learned the lessons. Elena's downfall is complete, and she faces it. I don't need to act. I only need to live fully." Hassan joined the call. "And your heart, does it feel lighter?" "It does," I admitted. "Not empty. Not bitter. Just, unburdened. The boy who once trembled at her laughter is gone. He was necessary, but he isn't me anymore." I returned a small gift Elena had sent months ago, an ornament, expensive, meaningless now. I left it at her doorstep with a note: "I've moved on. You may keep your memories, but my life is mine." Standing back, I felt no thrill, no satisfaction, only peace. It was symbolic, yes, but more importantly, it was closure. Later, I visited a park from my childhood, where I had once played, dreamed, and shared secrets with friends who didn't understand me. I picked up a worn toy car, a reminder of innocence, hope, and the boy who dared to dream. "I've carried you through fire," I whispered to it. "And now, you can rest. I am whole. I am me." That evening, back at my apartment, I gathered my closest allies. "Thank you," I said softly. "For believing, for guiding, for watching quietly. We've grown together, and now, we can enjoy what we've built." Sarah smiled. "You've earned it. The journey wasn't easy, but you emerged wiser, stronger." "I feel it," I said, looking out the window at the city skyline. Every scar, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, it led here. To freedom, to peace, to knowing that my life belongs to me alone. Hassan nodded. "And the past?" I smiled faintly. "It's a chapter one honor, not a chain I carry. Elena, the betrayals, the laughter, they're lessons, not anchors. The boy I was is part of me, but he doesn't define me anymore." I took a deep breath, letting the cool evening air fill my lungs. For the first time, truly, I felt unshackled. "I've returned," I whispered to the night, "not for revenge, not for recognition, but for myself. And that is enough." I walked along the riverside, the soft breeze brushing against my face. The water reflected the setting sun, and for the first time in years, I felt calm, unburdened. Sarah joined me, smiling. "You look different. Lighter, somehow." "I feel different," I admitted, glancing at the rippling water. "All the anger, the hurt, it's gone. Not erased, but it doesn't weigh me down anymore." Hassan chuckled softly. "You finally made peace with everything." "I did," I said, nodding. "I realized revenge was never the goal. Growth, strength, freedom, that's what mattered. And I have it now." Sarah looked thoughtful. "So, what's next for you?" I smiled faintly. "I don't know. Maybe build something meaningful, something that lasts. Help people who are starting out, like someone once helped me." "Sounds like a good plan," Hassan said. "And love? Are you open to it?" I hesitated, thinking of the past, of Elena. "I'm open to life," I said finally. "If love comes, it will be natural, not forced. I've learned patience, self-respect, and that my heart is my own. I won't give it away to someone who doesn't value it." Sarah laughed softly. "Wise words. You've changed so much. And not just in wealth or success, you've grown as a person." "I've had to," I said quietly. "Every betrayal, every setback, it forced me to learn, to endure, to become someone I could respect. And now I do." Hassan looked at me closely. "And the past? Elena?" I shrugged, a faint smile playing on my lips. "She's part of my story, yes. But she no longer controls my present or my future. I watched the consequences unfold, learned the lessons, and let it go. I don't need bitterness anymore. I don't need revenge. I just need me." Sarah's voice softened. "That's beautiful. Most people never get there." "I know," I said. "I wasted years being angry, waiting for justice. But justice isn't always about others, it's about how you live your life. I've learned that." We walked in silence for a moment, listening to the soft splash of the river and the distant laughter of children playing nearby. "I met someone recently," I said carefully, almost unsure if I should. "Someone kind, honest, someone who makes me feel like I can share my world without fear." Sarah's eyes brightened. "Really? That's wonderful. Do you think it could be love?" "Maybe," I admitted. "Or maybe it's just the start of something meaningful. I'm not rushing. I've learned the value of patience and respect, both for myself and others." Hassan grinned. "You've earned this. All the struggles, the fights, the late nights, they led you here. I nodded, feeling a strange warmth in my chest. Every moment, every scar, it shaped me. And now I can finally embrace life without carrying shadows from the past. I can build, love, and grow without fear. Sarah glanced at me with a teasing smile. You sound almost happy. I am happy, I said, the word tasting foreign but true on my tongue. Not just content, not just satisfied, but genuinely happy. Free from anger, free from regret. I can focus on what matters, growth, relationships, and the small joys I once overlooked. We reached a small cafe along the river. I paused, looking at the wooden chairs and tables. I want to spend more time here. Simple moments, quiet reflections. I think I've earned the right to enjoy life without running from shadows. Sarah squeezed my hand. You've more than earned it. You've mastered it. I smiled at her. Maybe now, the future isn't about proving anything to anyone. Maybe it's about living honestly, freely, and letting life surprise me. Hassan nudged me playfully. Then what are you waiting for? I looked at the horizon, the sun melting into the water. Nothing, I said softly. I'm ready for it all, the joys, the challenges, the love, the growth. I've returned from the past stronger, and now I can finally step forward without fear. Sarah and Hassan nodded, understanding the quiet triumph in my words. I inhaled deeply, letting the breeze fill my lungs, the light warm my face. New beginnings, I whispered. This is what I've worked for. This is what I live for. And I'm ready. The city shimmered before me, alive with possibilities. And for the first time, I stepped fully into my own life, unburdened, unafraid, and free.